Porn ecstasy. I was a mess, I confess, but now I'm free. No.
Hey guys, this video is about my porn addiction, my past porn addiction, and why I stopped it and how I stopped it. Just touching a little bit on how I did it. Well, the how is actually simple, you just don't do it. But how you gather the willingness to do it, that's a different story. So, pornography, how did it start? I was young when there was no internet, but there were some Playboy magazines in the place where they sell little books, magazines that you see in the middle of the street. In Portuguese you call quiosque. Maybe it's the same word, kiosk. I don't know, you tell me. And so I remember buying maybe a few, but that wasn't really pornography because it was Playboy, so it was just naked girls, women. So that's how the relationship with the imagery started to develop, to, you know, being addicted or excited by the picture of females. And later on, when there was cable TV, then you'd have the channel with pornography, and I would eventually look at it, or once in a while look at it at night when everybody was sleeping. But it didn't really become a huge thing until there was high-speed internet connection, and you know, when it was pretty much everywhere. So, and I would say that the addiction became bigger and bigger when I was also around 16, 17, 18. I mean, I could say it was pretty much almost a daily thing. Maybe not daily, but it was pretty regular. And I think that's quite common with every guy, or almost every guy. And nowadays it's even worse with children, like as young as 7, 8. They see it, they're probably not addicted to it, but they become addicted very much earlier. So for me, the addiction developed at that time, but I didn't really see it as an addiction. But it is an addiction when you're not in control, when you have the urges and you follow the urges and you cannot stop yourself. That means you're addicted somehow. And so it was also at the time that I was started to smoke weed, and the addiction also became bigger when I went to England to study music, because I was alone, and you know, alone time, smoking weed, pornography is like you're just having this massive rush of energy, of emotions and feelings and experiences and whatnot. So if you watch my previous video, which was about weed and how I stopped it, or why I stopped it, it was also the same thing, that I started to realize that I had to stop these addictions. And contrary to weed, pornography took me longer, although it took me longer to stop the addiction, which weed was, I stopped in 2011, and pornography, I didn't stop it until 4 years ago, like completely. But with pornography was more, it became more sporadic, meaning that when I also stopped weed, I also stopped pornography, but a few months after it came back. No, well, it didn't. It's not that something is coming at you like pornography, let me catch you again. I went back into it, and you know, the thing is, at that time, every time I did it, it's like you do it, and after it, you fucking hate yourself. You feel disgusting. At least that's the experience I had, because I knew that it's not the best that I can be. I felt dirty. I think that's the best way to describe it. So for me, it was clear that there was something not right about it. I mean, you're really excited about it initially, and you're really into it, and it feels great, but then it's like this horrible feeling. Why is that? You know, I knew I had to stop it. And with pornography, what happened was that I would do it for a couple of days, and then I would stop for a week, 2, a month, 2, 3, and then I would do it again. Meaning I would fall back into it, and then I'd hate myself again, and then I would gather again the willingness to stop, and I would stop, but then again. But what became the definite point for me was because I married, and I married when I was 25. I am 33, so I had been married for about 4 years, and I would hide it from my wife as well, and sometimes I would tell her, look, I did it, and obviously she wouldn't be happy about it, because it's like you're bringing someone else into the relationship, or many other people into the relationship. It's like cheating, actually. It's like you're mentally cheating, just because you're not actually doing with a physical person, but you are doing it in your mind, and there's that desire, there's that want, there's that, it exists, it's there, you cannot deny it. You're just not actually doing it, but you're doing it. It's fucked up. It's like, oh, it's not cheating, it's okay. But what if I do it with, like, visually looking at children? Is that a problem? That's a pedo, isn't it? I mean, you're not really doing it, but you're looking at children. So, what if I did it looking at a picture of your wife or your mother or whatever? How would you feel about it? I mean, it's like, it really is a violation of somebody else. Obviously, they're being paid for it and they're doing it, but they are actually also doing it for the money. So it's not really an honest point. They're doing it for the money. It's not for you to actually do it. Anyway, the point is, I knew I had to stop. And I would hide it from my wife. She wouldn't be happy when I would tell her, and, you know, understandably so. But then I decided that before my wife's birthday, when she turned 29, before that, I said to myself, I'm going to give my wife a gift, which is I'm going to stop watching pornography once and for all. This is my gift to her. That's how I actually stopped it. And I didn't tell her anything until 1 year later. So that means I said to myself, before she was 29, I'm going to stop. And I stopped. And a year had gone by. And then I told her, look, last year, when you turned 29, I said to myself I would stop pornography. And I did it. And that was my gift to you, also to myself. But it's actually a gift to her, because when your energy is not directed to pornography, it must be directed somewhere else. So it went to her. So our sexual expression, sexual expression, that's the way to put it, became much better, much more physical, much more, I mean, even within myself, I was feeling much more pleasure. Like, the whole thing became better. Also, our intimacy grew. So it's not because I wasn't hiding anything. It's like when you're using pornography and you have a relationship and you're hiding it from her or from him, whatever, and then you're with your partner and you're doing it. Like, sometimes there can be you're not really there, because you can be thinking of what you saw. You can be using the other imagery that you've been stimulated with the pornography in that act. Or it happens a lot. It fortunately didn't happen to me. You watch so much pornography that you become desensitized and you cannot get an erection. So I know this because I've read, and sometimes to me it would happen. Like, I wouldn't have erectile dysfunction, but I would lose it. Like, I was doing it, but then I would lose it because it wasn't visually stimulating, for whatever reason. Because I know my wife. I mean, it's not anything new. So with pornography, you're always looking for the new thing, the new girl, the new position, the whatever. You always want something new to stimulate you, and there with your partner is always the same thing. I mean, so visually it wasn't that stimulating, and you would just lose it. And it's like, what the fuck? That stopped happening. wow, amazing how these things work. Anyway, so our relationship became much better because we became much more intimate. And also another thing is, when you're doing pornography and you're doing it a lot, you don't even want to do it with your partner. Like it doesn't even occur to you, like, because you're putting that energy into the pornography. So when I stopped, that part of life for me and for my wife became much better, and it has been becoming better and better, and to the point where sorry, becoming quite personal. Anyway, I have no problems. Just to clarify, although I stopped pornography, I didn't stop masturbating, because that's also a point that you have to develop with yourself. When you're masturbating, it's you with you. It's you and an expression of you. And if you're stopping porn, let me make this clear. If you're stopping porn, but you're masturbating and you're thinking with imageries that are pornographic in nature, you're still in a way participating in it. That means that you're not really physical with you yourself, with your breath, with the experience of the masturbation, the sensation, the physical sensation of masturbation. You are stuck in the imagery, whatever it is that stimulates you. And that means you're not really developing a relationship with you, with your physical body. And you actually cannot achieve your potential by doing that, because you're feeding the imagination. That means you're gonna, anyway, I don't want to get into that point. That will be for my other channel. But I stopped pornography. I didn't stop masturbating, but I developed that point of masturbating with just being with myself and like focusing on breathing, on the sensations, that the physical aspect of it, not entertaining thoughts and images in my mind. But lately what I've been experiencing is that I don't even want to do it, because I rather just have sex with my wife, because it's so much more enjoyable. It's just better. And maybe this because I'm also older, I don't know, that could be related to it. But it's so much better to just do it with your wife and to have a real physical experience and to be really intimate, and you do it and you're really satisfied, you're happy, you're in love, you do it with the person you love, and it's great. So I'm making this video as well to show who I am as a person, and that will translate into my music, in my words, and to maybe give people that are understanding what the message is, and that they want to also, that they see that this can be a problem for them, whether it's addictions to pornography, weed, other drugs, entertainment, television, Netflix, social media. I mean, all these things that stop us from actually becoming the best version that we can be. So that's why I'm making these videos. That's why I'm explaining to you my story and just giving you maybe a few ideas of how you can support yourself to stop and why you should do it, because really things get much better and it's not worth it. Like, I've seen it for myself. It's not worth it. That excitement that you have, whether it's the drug or binge watching a whole series or the pornography, that experience is not worth that energy, that positivity that you feel then is not worth how you could apply yourself to become much better, truly. Because beyond those experiences, beyond those addictions, beyond those, beyond that relationship with that energy that you experience, there is a physical movement in you, a willingness, a power, a what's the word? Sorry, I had to go and check what the word is. There is grit, like in Portuguese you say garra, like there's this fucking, I'm not stopping, I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna give up on myself and my life. Like, there is this strength in you when you become more physical, and that means you move yourself. You say, I'm going to do this, and you do it, and then tomorrow again, and you start something and you finish it. You develop a strength and a trust in yourself that all the other positive things that you experience when having your porn and masturbation and weed and addictions, all that stuff is not worth it. It's not worth it. So maybe just giving you some motivation if you are at that point where you see these things and you want to stop it to improve yourself in your life. All right, I hope that was helpful and enjoyable, entertaining, and an interesting story that maybe you can relate. See you in the next video.